Last night on MasterChef Australia.
Remember, every detail has to be perfect.
Jonathan and Joanne faced off in the final London challenge.
I can't fault it.
And for Joanne, the MasterChef dream ended.
Although it's my time to leave, I don't think my journey will ever end.
Tonight, the contestants return home as Gary and George take over the kitchen.
We're back in Sydney, ready for our masterclass.
First up, George revisits his two favourite seafood dishes.
There's not much to it.
And we finish up with Gary's rhubarb and blackberry crumble souffle.
My daughter loves it.
Then we get some food styling tips from Donna Hay.
Make it stand up and shine.
And learn how to dress up a classic Caesar salad.
Give it back its crunch and give it a bit of style.
London was gargantuan. It was so big. It took everything out of us but gave us so much at the same time. We're back at Masterclass and it's time to take a little bit in from the chefs instead of giving it out.
There's a lot of things to like about Masterclass. It's like this big cycle of knowledge from Gary to George, then to us, and maybe one day I'll pass on to someone else.
Welcome to Masterclass, and what a massive week we've just had. We went to London, we went to Paris, we cooked with some of the best chefs on the planet. And just looking at the smiles on your faces, we know you had an amazing time.
What an adventure it was, and an adventure that you'll never forget. An opportunity to realise your potential. I'm sure inside of you all, you're proud of yourselves, and so you should be. You not only represented yourselves, your family, and the people that are most important to you, but you went away as MasterChef Australia contestants, and you did us proud.
After all the highs, there were some lows. We had to say goodbye to Joanne. She was eliminated from the competition.
Hello to all the guys here.
Because it was such a monumental experience for us all last week, we wanted to invite Joanne back for one final masterclass with all of us to cement that shared experience. So please welcome back Joanne.
Today I'm coming back into the MasterChef kitchen. This is one last amazing opportunity for me to learn a little bit more from Gary and George.
You got my seat.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hi, guys. How are you all? Hello.
Joanne, you look refreshed.
I feel refreshed.
What's it like to be back with your family and your kids?
It's indescribable. There's nothing like, you know, being with your family. They've always been with me right throughout the whole journey, and now I can just touch them and feel them, and I'm in a really happy place.
You look like you're absolutely glowing, and it's great to have you back here for Masterclass. Hopefully pick up a few tips to take back to the kids.
Thank you very much.
So what is today's Masterclass all about? It's about Gary and I's younger years, the things that have influenced our food and our cooking, and of course now, our own restaurants. There's something I would carry around with me throughout my apprenticeship. I had this little red book, A to Z. This book belongs to Georgie Porgy. I would write things in here, you know, everything from a simple Jerusalem artichoke soup that I would have learned at the hotel. simple things like
Oh, look at that. Black pudding ravioli.
black pudding
I remember
ravioli,
that.
bubble and squeak, brandada cod, brioche.
It's funny, actually, because when George was an apprentice, and don't forget, I was the executive sous chef at Souffle when George was a first year. I think, you know, I employed him. So he's done well, hasn't he? He's done all right. He's done better than me, hasn't he? We used to drill the apprentices to keep their notebooks in the back of their pocket. Not this baby, but have a notebook always on guard. So if any of the chefs gave them a recipe, they would write it down. And we used to check to see whether or not it translated into their proper recipe books. Those books that you've got in front of you, they're your Bible. This is part of your food story.
There's a dish here, the char siu
Yep.
salmon,
Yep.
that we did back at Sofitel.
Which was about 14 years ago.
Yeah,
Yep.
we then took that to Phoenix, because
Yeah.
I followed Gary to Phoenix. I would really love to cook this
I'd
today.
like to cook it. And you know what I love about this is that you kept the recipe, because if you hadn't have bought the recipe in, I would have been going, yeah, I think there's hoisin sauce and I think there's red food colour, but I can't remember anything else.
No.
That's why you write your stuff down in your books. So with that in mind, first up, we're going to do a beautiful char siu of salmon with a stir fry of winter melon and wood ear mushrooms.
Right, guys, so the first step is to make the char siu marinade for the salmon. Char siu basically is Chinese barbecue sauce.
Do you want me to read the recipe for
Yes,
you, George?
please,
Can you
Gaz.
remember it?
No.
4 tablespoons of honey. 4 tablespoons of Chinese rice wine.
That's that there.
Shaoxing.
Shaoxing's got a bit of tartness to it as well.
Yeah.
And sweetness.
Yep. 2 tablespoons of brown sugar.
Soft brown sugar.
So a lot of sweetness going in there.
Yep.
But a lot of flavour too, huh? 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce.
Okay.
And then you got 2 tablespoons of hoisin.
Ah.
Next, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder.
Garlic powder.
Yep.
Which is basically dried garlic, isn't
Yeah.
it? And powdered up.
Yep. 1 teaspoon of 5-spice powder.
Yep.
And then you want a few drops of red food colouring. 2 tablespoons of red bean paste. So that's got a lot of flavour in as well, a little bit salty, and it gives it some texture as well, George, huh? And the last one, George, is 4 teaspoons of black Chinese vinegar. And that's it. And it
That's
says
it.
here, George, mix all.
We can make this well in advance, keep it in a jar and use it as you need it.
Can I taste?
Yeah.
It smells like it used to.
Bring back memories.
Ooh.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, wow. Bang.
The next step is to prepare our salmon. We've pin-boned it, and what we're going to do is just cut a beautiful little portion of salmon to marinate with the char siu. First step is we've got the belly, okay, and we're just going to clean that up. I'm going to cut 2 portions, about 80 grams. Okay, the first step is to square it off. And what I want is basically a nice little barrel. So this is what I want here. I'm just going to go in very gently. Okay? Because I'm a little bit pedantic, I don't like edges, so I'll just square them off. And there you have it, 2 beautiful pieces of fish. The next step is to actually marinate it. A bowl, a little bit of the char siu marinade just in the bottom, okay? And then we pop our salmon in and we flood the salmon with that char siu until we can't see it, okay? And then a little bit of plastic wrap. And I wouldn't marinate this any longer than 12 hours because what's going to happen is all the acidity is going to cook the fish. 2 hours is minimum. You'll get lots of flavour into it because you've pretty much submerged it into that marinade. We'll pop that in the fridge and Gary can kick off with all the beautiful stir-fry vegetables.
Okay, so on to the next portion of the dish. I've got some winter melon, which has got a really mild, soft taste. So let's prepare these nice and easy. First of all, we're just going to take the seeds out of the melon. This winter melon is like a marrow in terms of how you use it in cooking. You know, marrows, cucumbers really lend themselves well to taking on other flavours, and they're quite delicate. the cucumber. I'm not going to peel all of it. I just want to take off some of the skin. That'll make it look nice as well. But I'm going to take the seeds out because they're really watery. So in a stir fry, it's not going to work very well at all. Which just leaves us the firm flesh of the cucumber. Just going to cut these across on an angle because I want some texture in this. And the same with this. I'm thinking that really what I want is big sort of roll cut type, you know, vegetables that have got some texture. And then the spring onions. And then I'm just going to cut these into large lozenges. And then finally the wood ear is just trim out any of this root on the mushroom. It's really quite hard and difficult to chew. It'll take too long to cook. And then we're just going to tear them up into nice little pieces. Lastly, garlic chives. We're halfway through making our char siu salmon with stir-fried winter melon and wood ear mushrooms. So all the vegetables are cut, ready for the stir-fry, and now what I'm going to do is combine some of the same flavours that we've put into the char siu marinade. And one of those is hoisin sauce. We've got a tablespoon of that. And we've got a tablespoon of light soy sauce. We've got a 1/4 cup of Shaoxing rice wine. And we've got a 1/4 cup of black rice vinegar. 2 teaspoons of caster sugar. So that's it, ready to go on the stir fry. To stir fry the vegetables, hot wok, but not roasting. I'm going to use a little bit of peanut oil. I'm going to put a tablespoon of ginger and a tablespoon of garlic, and then cook that until it just gets nice and fragrant. In with the winter melon, in with the wood ear, and we'll just give that a few seconds just to take on a bit of heat. We're going to put the sauces that we've combined into the wok. And we're just going to cook that down just for a minute or two, just again to let the flavours of that Shaoxing and the hoisin and the soys combine, and also to soak into that melon and to give those wood ears a bit of a kickstart in terms of cooking. Marion, you got a question?
With the winter melon and I guess some of the garlic chives, I guess you'd be looking at going to an Asian grocer for those sorts of things?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Good Asian grocer, and to be honest, the supermarket's stocking a lot of this now. The flavours are really starting to develop now. So I don't really want to stir-fry these vegetables. They need to go in quick and they need to stay crisp, and that's the key. So I'm throwing in the cucumber, the spring onion, and the garlic chives. And I've also got these little sprouted mung beans, which I'm going to throw a few in. And then, just to finish it off, a little bit of sesame oil. And remember, sesame oil is a seasoning, so you've got to be careful. And I've put in about a tablespoon of that. And then really just a quick toss and a few seconds on the heat, just to drive in a little bit of the flavour into the spring onions, and then chopped peanuts. Just going to put a little dash more of that sauce, and then final toss over. And then that is ready to go for our lovely char siu salmon.
So, Gary, you've got the vegetables done.
Vegetables ready to go.
They look absolutely gorgeous. The salmon's been marinating for about 2 hours in the char siu, and now it's time to cook it. We just need to take it out of the marinade and just pat it dry. All right, time to cook. So a little bit of oil in your frying pan. We've got a nice hot pan. Just pop our salmon in. Some salt. And we give it about a minute on each side and it's cooked. Time to turn the salmon over. And that's what we want, that little sort of charred, blackened tinge to it. All right, drop the heat down. Make sure I drizzle that with olive oil. I want that to be really nice and shiny, yeah? All right. Time to plate up. I mean, really.
What are we going to do?
Whatever.
We're just going to put a few bits in?
Yeah.
Because we don't need all of this on, do we?
Nah.
A little bit of wood here. What do you think?
Yeah. Looks great.
Enough?
Yeah.
And there it is, our char siu salmon with stir-fried winter melon and wood ear mushrooms. A bit of an update from 15 years ago.
It's grown.
I reckon it looks all right.
And we're a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a bit chubbier.
Any questions? Claire?
Just wondering if you could treat any other fish or maybe a little game bird or something in the same way?
Yeah, pigeon breast. Would be beautiful. Quail.
Char siu quail.
Oh, yum, delicious. I prefer to go to more oilier fish, you know, like a trout. Scallops you can even marinate in the char siu. Delicious.
Nice.
My top tips for char siu salmon. Number one, taste your marinade to make sure that balance is right. Too much honey, too sweet, too much vinegar, too acidic. Number two, when cooking the salmon, it's all about control. You want a little bit of caramelisation, but you don't want it black.
Top tips for the stir-fry vegetables, buy different ingredients. That's what it's all about. Take a very ordinary thing and make it extraordinary. Number two, controlling the wok. Everybody thinks when they cook in a wok, it's got to be roasting hot, and it gets away from it. It's about understanding the dish and controlling the temperature. All right, now we've got to taste the dish. Alvin, you've been smiling. You can come. Joanne and Claire.
Stick it.
Make sure you get a bit of that sauce and a bit of the salmon.
I love that bit of melon.
First.
You want to use a greener melon.
Cucumber, celery, you know, any sort of vegetable that's fairly neutral. Alvin, what do you think?
I like the winter melon in the stir fry. I've always used them in clear soups.
Yep.
I've never used them in stir fry before. That's
But it works quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Joanne, you like it?
I love it.
Is there a Lebanese equivalent of that dish?
No.
I'm joking with you.
There is not.
No, there's not, is there?
No, it's gorgeous.
Claire?
Love it. I love the marinade. It's great. I'm going to take that one away. And
Enough sweetness in the
15
salmon?
years down the track, I'll be using it still.
Salmon's beautiful.
It's true. Delicious.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Today on Masterclass, we've been talking about dishes that are our identity. And the next dish that I'm going to show you guys is definitely something that's come from my childhood. A scallop lukumathers with taramo salata and candied lemon zest.
What would your mum say if you put scallops in
She'd be
lukumathers?
absolutely devastated. And I know when I put this on the menu at the press club, she refused to come in and taste them.
Tell us what lukumathers
are.
are.
Lukumathers are a traditional Greek donut. Every Sunday, we'd go into grandmother's house and there she would be, popping out lots of Greek donuts with her bare hands. It's unbelievable to watch.
Well, you get to it and I'll be back for a little snack in a minute.
See you soon. So the first step is to make our donut batter. We've got 600 grams of plain flour, 40 grams of dry yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 750 grams of water. And I've just warmed this up to about 42 degrees. It's above blood temperature, but not burning where I have to pull my finger out. We need it to be warm so we can activate that yeast. Marion, come help me for a sec. Just pour that in. Right, slowly, slowly, slowly. Gradually add the water. Okay. Thanks, Marion. And don't be too worried about the lumps. The lumps will knock themselves out. Aaron, you got a question?
Yeah, could you use say, a food processor or something like that to do that and just put the water in gradually?
I guess so. I like the fact with a batter that you can touch it. Right, pop some plastic wrap over the top. set aside in a warm area for about an hour and allow to prove. The next step is to make our tarama salata. A real tarama should not be pink. A real tarama is made with salted cod roe. A little bit difficult to get here in Australia, but we do get it. My recipe's quite simple. Callum, do you want to come and make it with me?
Yeah, sure.
Brilliant. Right, Callum, I want you to chop me a quarter of an onion. Because we're going to blend it up, we need a rough chop. Okay, brilliant. Tear 4 slices of white bread up, crust removed. Add what essentially is the flavour, salted cod roe. It comes from a tin. Pop a tablespoon of that in and we'll see. We might need to add a little bit more. Yep, that's good. Brilliant. Next step is lemon juice, acidity. Lid on, and we're going to slowly emulsify that. Right, slowly add your olive oil. All up, we'll be adding 550 mils of olive oil. All right, stop for a second. And you can see it's getting quite tight. The olive oil is definitely going to loosen it, but it needs a little bit of water. We'll pop a little bit of that in. Off you go again. Olive oil. Tip, tip. It's looking good. It's all about finding the consistency, guys, yeah? All right, you've got to remember there's no eggs in this. Just look at that, it's really nice and creamy. That's the consistency we're looking for. Nice, creamy tarama. Now, of course, we need to taste. Nice, got a bit of kick, bit of punch.
Yeah, it's really good. I thought there'd be a bit more rawness of the onion in there, but you can't really notice it. It's good.
Well done, Callum. Looks good, huh?
Yeah, looks great.
Your first tarama. Not bad effort. We're going to pop that into a piping bag, okay, because the way we're going to present it on the plate, we need a piping bag. Simple as that. We just snip the end, and you know, again, you plate up how you feel. I want to dress the plate ready to go before we cook our scallop lukumathers, so when they're hot, it's literally on the plate, ready to be eaten, okay? Now, what I've got here is some of that bread from the tarama I've kept aside. I've toasted that off, and I've popped through some chopped parsley, toasted pistachios, and some sultanas. And if you think about the tarama, it's got this real acidic, lemony. I mean, you tasted it, Callum, something a bit sweet. It's going to balance really well. Okay, and we'll just, you know, quite freely pop them through on the plate. We've got some candied lemon zest. So we've peeled the zest of lemon. We've blanched it 3 times once we've shredded it. And then we've just popped that into some equal quantities of sugar and water and left that to saturate. I want some real sweetness to this dish. Okay, so we don't need a lot of this, just a little bit. Just pop that across the whole dish. We've got a little bit of caviar. Okay, and we'll just pop that on the plate quite generously. I think if you're going to put something on the plate that's expensive, be generous, be flamboyant. You only live once. Next thing on the plate is the parsley cress. All right. The final step to this dish is to cook our scallop lukumathers. As you can see, it's grown. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's a great sense of feeling when something grows like that, you know? That's the donut batter. The yeast has activated with the warm water, the flour, the salt, and it's created this batter. And this is what it's supposed to do, exactly that. What we've got here is beautiful fresh scallops. We've removed the roe and the muscle on it. So we've got a little bit of flour. Pop our scallop in, dust it lightly so the batter sticks to the scallops. Okay. And then we put our scallops into the batter. We'll take this over to the fryer, and this is where you get your hands dirty. So I've picked up the scallop, it's encased with the batter. I just pop out that donut with the scallop in it. I find the next one. So I'm using my hand as a piping bag, all right? Bang, into the oil. I'm using a simple canola oil to fry in, and I've got the fryer on about 180 degrees. Find the next one, take off any excess batter, bang, into the oil. And they'll take about 3 to 4 minutes. Jonathan, question?
Can you use that donut mixture for sweet things?
Yeah, totally. Drizzle it with honey, you know, beautiful. As you can see, they're nice and golden brown. So they're ready to be drained. A tray ready with some paper towel on it. You want to absorb any excess fat. Oh. Okay. I reckon that one there. I reckon that one there. I reckon that one there. Okay, so we pop them on. To finish the donuts, we drizzle a little bit of lime syrup and we just dress those little donuts. And of course, some salt. And there you have it.
George, I love that dish. It's absolutely gorgeous.
These are my scallop local mothers with tarama and lemon zest. Any questions? Adam?
When you pop the donuts out, do you pop that out of the bottom of your hand or the top of the hand?
The bottom, but I think I'm not really that good at them that it comes out of both sides. Aaron, you had a question?
Could you substitute the scallop for anything like prawns or something like that?
Braised pork belly, little cubes of that. It could be like the Greek version of a pork bun.
Yum char.
Awesome. Yeah.
We've gone all yum char.
My top 3 tips to make the scallop local mothers with the tarama. When you're making the taramo salata, you've got to balance it with a little bit of water to thin it down and, of course, to emulsify it. My second tip is, with the batter mixture, it's important that you don't get too stressed about taking that water up to about 45 degrees when you tip it into the yeast. It's dry yeast, it's a lot more powerful than fresh yeast. My final tip, eat them hot. Straight out of the fryer, or else they're soggy and not nice at all. Who wants to taste? Callum, Jonathan and Adam. Yeah. Right, boys, tuck in.
Yeah, it's in there. The little scallopy.
Good man.
Nice.
All right, go ahead, get in there.
I really like the different textures that are there, like the donut's kind of crispy but also very soft, and then they've got that kind of resistant scallop, and then the breadcrumbs and the tarama salata, everything, it all just amazing.
Yeah, there's actually quite a lot on the plate, but I think it all works really well together. I really like the honey with the scallops. The sweetness is fantastic.
At the end of the day, food for me is all about my family. Taking the past, taking also what I've learned, the training, and bringing that to the future. And it constantly evolves. Moments like this, you never forget. It's the recipes that you learn, it's your background, it's who you are as people that's going to influence your food going forward.
So now it's my time to drag something out of the past. And for me, you know, that classic English dessert of crumble is what I'm going to reinvent. I'm going to do a rhubarb and blackberry crumble souffle.
Oh, yum.
First up, we're going to make the fruit puree. So rhubarb. Don't forget the leaves are poisonous, don't eat them. We're making stewed fruit. Essentially, that's what we're doing. And we've got 500 grams, 4 good-size red rhubarb stalks. That'll be about the same. And then caster sugar. There's 140 grams, but it's just to make a lovely, sweet rhubarb compote. So a little splash of water, just to stop it burning on the bottom, and then lid on and a moderate heat. It's about stewing that rhubarb down nice and gently, retaining some chunky bits, essentially a rough puree. Next up, we're going to make the crumble topping. So we've got 75 grams of just plain flour. We've got 50 grams of butter and 50 grams of brown sugar. You can use white sugar, and you just want a little pinch of salt. And what you want is a very rough, chunky crumble. Smash it up with my fingers, just so I break up some of that butter. All right, and then in with 50 grams of dried oats. And then we're going to put in some hazelnuts. And we just got to break them down a little bit because we don't want too many big chunks. I make crumble at home, make 3 or 4 times what you need, and stick it in the freezer. My daughter loves it. So we now pop this crumble on a tray, and we just want to cook that flour out a little bit and just tinge that a very delicate golden brown. Okay, so in the oven, 180 to 200, and a light golden brown, and that'll be our crumble done. Stewed fruit is on the way, so now we've got to butter our moulds. So butter well, and what I do is over butter the lip, but then wipe it off. And then you're pretty sure you've got a really even covering. You pop that in the fridge, 5 minutes, and then we'll do it again. The rhubarb's been on for about 5, 6 minutes now. And what's happened is that it's softened down beautifully. We're now going to add these blackberries. These are frozen blackberries. Doesn't make any difference. We're making a stewed fruit after all. So probably about 120 grams, 150 grams of berries. And we'll just give it another few minutes. I still want some chunks of blackberry in there. We can keep the lid off now. And the last thing I'm going to put in is a little bit of lemon zest. And it works beautifully with rhubarb and the blackberry. Okay, so crumble should be done. It's been in for 5. And I can smell that little toastiness just coming through. That's perfect, just starting to go golden brown. So the next stage is to thicken this. Now what I've got is corn flour, and I've made a little slurry out of that, so I've put a little splash of water. And it doesn't have to be an exact science, because every fruit is going to be a bit different. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to thicken. So you just want that to hold itself. So it's like the parting of the seas. All right, you see that? And you just give it a gentle simmer for about another 1.5 minutes, just to cook that corn flour out. So puree, off into a bowl, and just knock a little bit of the heat out, which is all that steam. So we just let that cool for 5 minutes or so, and then we're ready to make the soufflés. We need to remember that we've had to butter our moulds for a second time. All these little tips make a difference. And you want about a teaspoon of caster sugar in each souffle mould, and then gently just run that sugar around the mould so it's coated the mould evenly, and then tip it back. So what the sugar and butter does is it forms a nice lubricated crust so that the souffle slips upwards, okay? That's the key. So let's put this souffle together. Just so you know, you can prepare this well in advance. Like in a restaurant, you'd have this en place in your fridge, ready to go. Pastry chef standing around not doing much, first order comes in. This is where you'd be at, okay? So dinner party, exactly the same thing. Marion, come up here and give us a hand. Right, okay. 4 egg whites in the bowl.
4 egg whites.
Okay, just put a tiny little sprinkle, like a tablespoon in, just to start it off, and then you're gonna whisk until you get to the point. Up, full speed, on high. That one. We rain in a little bit of sugar, which is a stabiliser, at the beginning, and then we just rain the last 2/3 of the sugar in. And what you want, soft peaks, glossy, shiny. So that's looking good. Just slow it down a wee bit. Rain that in. And there's about 75 grams of sugar in here. Speed it up. Does that look shiny enough?
Yeah, that's good.
And nearly there. Stop. Right. If you lift that up in there, so you can show the guys, see, it's shiny, glossy, it's got that shine in the folds. That's what you're after. I want you to put an equal quantity of egg white to that batter and just combine it any old how, because what you're doing is you're mixing it together to create a consistency in that batter that allows you to fold in a final third nice and evenly. Now put in the same amount again. So it's like, you know, a third. Yeah. about that. I get all sort of territorial about it. Maybe a little bit more. You were right the first time.
Stuff up your souffle.
That's fine. Now, what you want to do this time, and this is important, is that you want to turn it and fold it. Yeah, and then draw across in the middle, turn it and fold it, and across in the middle. And you do that until you've combined that egg white. So you're turning the bowl, lifting and folding, and you're being as gentle as you can. So you're lifting it up, sort of getting your shoulder into it. So you see how you're really all stiff and, you know, it's like a bad dancer. But you sort of want to get into it. You want to sort of, you don't want to upset it. So you're like, oh, you know, I need to, you know, like that.
Right.
Okay? Don't have to be exaggerated as that, but that's the idea. It's all about that mixture now. It's about keeping that aeration, keeping the integrity of that beautiful soft egg white. Now I want you to dip your finger in and have a taste.
Ooh,
is it yummy?
That's really
what do you get?
good.
What do you get?
It's not too sweet, which is lovely. You just get that rhubarb and the blackberry. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Right, so what I want you to do now is fill those moulds, but when you fill it, and this is quite important, I want you to pick it up and I want you to drop it into the mould with the spoon down because you're going to protect the edges, OK? If you throw it in any old how, you're going to have little dribbles everywhere, OK? Right. Both moulds, yep. That's it. You see what I mean? Just little tips like that make a big difference because otherwise what you're going to end up is lots of little splashes right to the top, like full. Yep, great. And then what I want you to do is that you're just going to knock that mixture over the top. You can use a palette knife. And then what you want to do is just very gently just run your finger around the top of the mould without licking your fingers. Never do that because it's disgusting. Oh, look at the mess you've made.
I know.
Oh, where's the mess on mine? So put it down on the bench. You just stick the tip of your thumb in just to create that little lip. And then you can lick your fingers because I'm not going to... No, not now.
No, I'm just putting it there.
Double dipping in your souffle. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Beautiful. All right. That's our souffles. A little bit of that. And that goes into the oven for about 6 to 7 minutes at 200 degrees. Right in the middle. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Right, let's check these souffles. We're going to put the crumble mix on now. Souffles have popped up a centimetre or two. All right, so they're on their way, OK? And all we need to do is just put enough on the top because we don't want to weigh the souffle down. All right? And then back in the oven until it pops up that extra centimetre or so. They're looking good, though, huh? Once you understand the principle of souffles, they're really easy to make. And if you think about it from a restaurateur's point of view, they're a very sexy thing to make. You get a chocolate souffle that you share for two. It's a really lovely experience. Souffles are ready. They've been in that extra 3 minutes. They popped up, so let's get them out of the oven. Ooh. Look at those babies. Oh. Georgie, just in time. Just in time. So a little bit of ice cream or cream. And they look pretty special, huh? OK, 2 taste volunteers. Marion and Aaron, let's go. Spoon each. George, you're going to do the honours? Because what you should do when you eat a souffle is dig a little hole. And it should be just cooked inside, and you drop a bit of cold ice cream or cream in the middle.
I reckon both.
Yes, a bit of cream there, George.
Definitely.
Oh,
what? See, it starts to collapse around the outside and then go.
Wow.
Ladies first.
Oh my God. That is really good.
This British spectacular.
Let's have a huddle. Right, Aaron, tell us what you can taste.
The berries are singing through really, really loudly. It's really, really light. And the texture between the wonderful light souffle and the crumble is just fantastic.
The souffle itself is just like velvet. It's so soft and beautiful. And then you've got that really crunchy, toasty topping.
Pass that back. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So top tips for a souffle. Remember, you've got to butter the mould really, really well. An even film of butter. Any bit that you don't grease, that's where it catches. That's what will spoil your souffle. The next, the egg whites. They have to be silky and just peaking. What that means is there's still room for expansion in that foam. The third thing is that you really do have to have the confidence in knowing that when you've got the consistency right and having that mixture that just falls back on itself, the chances of success are really high. So that was my rhubarb and blackberry crumble souffle. Just shows you how important it is to keep your recipes, doesn't it, George? And you're creating history here. This is your little recipe catalogue. And as it gets bigger and bigger and it rolls into another file and another file, you know you're learning more, and this will all contribute to your success.
This is the end of our part of the masterclass. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Joanne, it's time to say your goodbyes, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
See you later, guys. Take care.
Because I've left the competition, it doesn't mean to stop learning. Food is something I absolutely love, and I'm always curious. I think the more you learn, the better you'll be.
Normally, we'd be sending a couple of you off to a private masterclass. But this week, something a little bit different. You're all going to a private masterclass. And leading that masterclass is one of Australia's most recognisable food personalities, Donna Hay.
We just get rewarded a private masterclass with Donna Hay. It will be great to know what her secrets are, what her tips are. We're very excited.
Donna's waiting for you in her test kitchen.
Oh, cool.
I don't know what you're waiting for. Let's go.
Let's do it. Say hello to Donna for us, guys.
A little piece of cake.
Pavlova, maybe.
Usually with a private masterclass, it's just one or two people, but to share this whole experience with everyone after the week we've had over in London and Paris, this is a great opportunity.
Donna Hay, she's an institution. She's one of the top food stylists in the country, so it's a different type of masterclass and one that we absolutely need.
Hi, Donna.
Welcome. So here we are. This is Donna Hay headquarters. This is where it all happens. This is my real life when I'm not judging in the restaurant at MasterChef. So today I'm going to show you some little tips and tricks to do with food styling. They're really simple, and if you can remember them as you go to style, then you'll be in a much better position back in the kitchen. The first one is form and shape. Just because you've always chopped an onion in either a dice or a wedge doesn't mean that there's not 20 different ways to chop it. Are they better whole? Is it better as a burst of flavour? And does it look better as well? Now, the next one is colour, which is quite controversial for me, because if I hear one more TV chef go, and I'm just adding some red capsicum for colour, I'm going to scream, okay? Things have flavour attached to them. So if you're adding colour for colour's sake, don't. So the last one that I wanted to show you was balance, and it's actually the hardest. It's one that comes with a lot of practice. This dish has balance this way, and it's balanced on the side. It's got nice elements stacked up to make it balanced. It's also catching the light. So you never plate up if you're styling for photography and make something high on the side that the light's coming in, because that way it's casting a shadow over the rest of your food. And when you have shadows, you don't get that highlight of beautiful dressing or warm chicken or yumminess. Now I want to show you how to style pasta. Mixing your pasta and all your ingredients together, you put it in your bowl, and what happens? It all sits flat, it's a big mess, and it kind of looks a bit sad and tired. So there's one really easy thing to do to make it stand up and shine. All you need is a pair of tongs. I've just got some spaghetti here. This works with any type of noodle, fettuccine, spaghetti, anything long. So I've just fried up in a little bit of olive oil some breadcrumbs and some pancetta. And they're nice and golden. You still want to see the colour of the pancetta, little golden bits around the outside. But if that was overcooked, it'd be one flat brown colour, and you'd lose that yum factor that it has with just little golden edges. Now, toss it around just to coat the spaghetti. I've got a little bit of fried sage. We're going to add some more of that on the top as well. Now, you've all been to a Chinese restaurant where there's a lazy Susan. You need one hand to make lazy Susan, while the other hand plates the pasta. So you need both your hands ready. Now, if I was styling for the magazine and no one was eating this, I would use my hands. But because I know you're going to be hungry, I'm going to use tongs today. And if you're plating up in a restaurant, you definitely have to use tongs. So all you do is you grab your pasta. Now, I know all the breadcrumbs and the pancetta have fallen away, but we're going to grab those later. This is about getting your pasta or your noodles to stand up. So pick it up, spin your plate, hold your tongs, don't let go. And while you're spinning the plate, do you see how the pasta's twirling on itself? And suddenly, with just one simple twirling action, as you're lowering your tongs, you can get a little mess of pasta. So you can do 3 little nests, or you can do a flatter one on the bottom and a couple on the top. But my rule, food with attitude, not altitude. Never cross it. So we'll do a little one on the side, because you don't want everything to be the same shape and the same size. And what you can do is just grab all the yummy crunchy bits, pile them over, and that way all your yummy bits are front and centre as well. So really simple. And then you get to finish it off with some parmesan, if you like. And what putting something all the way over the top, like parmesan or cracked pepper, is it often just gels the whole dish together. It stops it looking separate, and suddenly it looks like one dish. It looks whole. You see that?
That's awesome. That's great.
So as you can see, no tricks there. This is the only thing I use, really fine atomizer. A little bit of a spritz just brings everything up. Just water, that's all. Now the next thing I want to show you is how to master icing the perfect cake. Are you scared? Yes. I wanted to show you how to do that lovely drippy kind of glaze icing that you might need even to drip over any kind of dessert. So like this and this. I've got chocolate cakes made with buttermilk to keep the crumb nice and tender and moist. What I've done is I've lined the tins so that they have perfect bases, and I've actually trimmed the tops. These cakes are really nice and cold. To get perfect layers and perfect drippy icing, we need them to be cold. Now, I'm going to do this one on the cake stand so you can see, and so I get a little bit of height. The secret to icing this cake is actually to have the cake cold, but of course, ganache is so much easier to work with when it's warm. So that's the trick when you're doing icing, even on a cupcake, just normal icing, sugar icing. Always put boiling water in it until you can move it. And then when it hits the cold cake, it starts to set. So first thing, just give it a really light brush just to remove any of those loose crumbs, because the last thing you want to be doing is dragging the crumbs through your icing, okay? So always have a clean pastry brush. With icing, you start in the middle and you work out, okay? And you work gently out. So always start in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some of this beautiful ganache into the centre. Because I've got this nice cold cake, the ganache is starting to set as I move it to the sides. Just work flat, a little bit more in the centre. Always add it to the centre and work out. Now this is where it gets tricky. You just want to encourage, just by almost massaging that ganache just over the edge. And because it's cold, it's going to arrest it part way or halfway down. So you want to have a little combination of long drips, short drips, and really that is what I call ultimate lickability. Who doesn't want to come up here right now and run their finger through that? So, really simple, just edge it over. It's about being light-fingered, being a good food stylist. How easy is that?
Nice.
An easy way to finish off a cake or to spoon beautiful sauce over your desserts. Simple. Good?
Yeah, very good.
The next cake I want to show you is a little bit more technically difficult. How to make the perfect layer cake, even layers of cake and even layers of icing. But I want to show you how to do it the kind of starter's way. I've had a little bit of practice at that, so I'm not going to cut the cake, but Adam is. Come on, Adam. Come and show me what you can do. First of all, we're going to measure the cake so we can get a middle point. Pick up the serrated knife and just make a mark here. Okay, great. Yep, just make a mark. That's all we're trying to do. Now we're nearly back to the beginning. Okay, go there. That's better. Okay, now your nerves are settling down.
I'm not nervous about cutting the cake. I'm nervous about cutting your finger off.
No! What's a food stylist with one less finger, Adam? Now, you can see your mark there. Yep. and you'll be able to track them all the way around. So we're going to go slowly, okay? It's your first time. Let's do it slowly.
We can do this together.
We can do it together. Knife flat, finger guide at the board if you can. We're only going to cut in just this far.
Come on, Adam. You can do it.
That's good. Knife flat. Watch that knife. Okay, let's stop it there. Just take the knife around and out a bit. Turn around, there's your next hit mark. So I want you to start coming this way. That's right. Watch the tip, you're coming up. See how you're coming up? Yeah. You're making the cake move. That's it, nice and flat. You're doing well. Yeah, put your hand on the cake so you can feel where you're going. You don't want to edge that cake up. He's right. You're right, you're doing great. Move it around. That's it, just small ones. Oh my God, the nervous giggles, they're killing me. Yes. You know what? You are so nearly there. Look, you've only got to get to here.
Quarter of cake to go.
Pull it out, pull it around, keep going. I'm just going to help by keeping the tip of your knife down.
Are we there? Is that
We're there, darling.
Cake?
Let's have a look and see what we've done. Are you ready? Be nice.
Yay!
First attempt, it's really good. Okay, let's get on to the good bit, the icing. We're going to take one piece of cake, pop it on our cake stand. Now, of course, you would expect me to have a trick for you of how to get the icing layers even as well. Why not measure the amount of icing that's going in each layer? This is a cream cheese icing. I wanted to show you this one today because it's really easy to move about and to get those lovely swirls in. It's also got a little bit more body, so when we're doing a layer cake, it's not going to squish all the way out. If we measure our icing, I'm just going to dollop in about half a cup. We'll see how generous it is, but as long as I use the same measurement for each layer, then I won't be in trouble.
That's ingenious.
I'm going to take that icing out, and remember, always start in the middle. Before you get overexcited and push the icing all the way to the outside, you need to work it in the middle. So working some of those air bubbles out, getting a nice edge on the side of the icing. Use your cake stand, rotate it around. And we want to go just almost to the edge because remember, the pressure is going to keep pushing that icing. All these little edges, I'm just going to keep smoothing and almost massaging that icing so you get a nice edge, so when the next cake sits on top of it, it squeezes out and you've got that lovely thick layer cake. And I'm not going to take it any further because we've got 3 more layers to put on, and it's going to naturally push that out and give it a lovely bulging edge as well. Next layer on, just give it a little press so it's nice and flat. And this time, a lot quicker because I've already worked out how much icing I need to go on the top. If anything becomes unworkable, it starts to get warm, put it in the fridge and chill it down. So always chill the cake, not the icing. The trick is not to be in a hurry, but to work the icing and really be light-handed. I'm literally just touching the top layer of the icing. Another layer. Make sure I haven't moved that off-centre too much with my swirling. How's that looking? Is it looking even?
Good.
It's funny to see the bottom layer slowly coming out.
It's slowly coming out, isn't it? So you can imagine if I started being really heavy-handed, it's just going to be a disaster. Okay, so same amount of icing, level it off.
Maybe you should suggest that we should have 5 minutes after each challenge just for plating up and styling.
But you should be able to do that in the challenge, Jonathan.
But you'll be thinking about your styling, Jonathan, along the way now. You won't get to the end and go, what do I do? What would Donna do? So as you're chopping that first ingredient, Jonathan, you are going to be thinking about how you're going to be plating it up, aren't you?
Of course.
So last layer has to be not a cut side, because I don't want to drag the icing through the cut side because it's the most valuable layer, but a flat side that's actually been on the bottom of the tin. So on it goes.
Oh my gosh.
Is it just in the middle?
Yes.
Now this layer of icing is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to put a little bit of movement in it. I don't want it to be flat. So I want some nice swirls there so that there's some light and shadow. Going to have to be really light-handed because my layers are getting towards the edge. So just be patient and start gently moving it out, because this is the all-important layer. Have you seen that my palette knife has never crossed the edge? You just get a nice plumper, fatter, rounded edge. If you go over the top, it flattens it off and you can't get that nice bulging edge back. So I always push just inside the edge. See that? Yeah. You just push it inside just to make it come out. And then with that food styling confidence I've been talking to you about, I'm just gonna put a few little swirls through the top just to give it that yum factor, that lickability. It's the only time I tilt my palette knife. Are we happy with that? So there you have it. We've got even layers, even cake. Now all I need to do is pop that in the fridge. Easy. Yeah. Come on. It's easy, you can do that. Now I'm gonna show you my version of Caesar salad. Probably on most cafe menus, appears in lots of restaurants in varying degrees of atrociousness, I think. So we're gonna give it a quick makeover, give it back its crunch and give it a bit of style, a bit of chicness. First thing, Caesar salad has to have croutons. So I've got some slices of baguette. I'm gonna keep them a little bit larger, even though it's thin, because we want that lovely bready crunch. Just a little bit of olive oil, just so they brown and crisp up. All you need to do now, pop them in the oven, 160, about 10 minutes, but we want them nice and dry, crisp and golden, because remember, the other ingredients are kind of wet, so you want them to be nice and dried out, really crunchy. Okay, so the next step is the bacon. Caesar has to have bacon, but I'm putting a bit of a twist on it. I don't know if you've ever tried this before. Saltiness of bacon roasted in maple syrup. I've got sweet, salty balance. 4 rashers of bacon, about 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and you just want to toss it through so it's evenly coated. So just toss that around so it's all nice, evenly coated on both sides of the rashers. And there's nothing better than that combination of salty and sweet, plus the maple is going to caramelise and make that bacon really crunchy and crisp. And these go into the oven at 160 as well for about 15 to 20 minutes. You might want to watch it because you need that maple to caramelise, but you don't want it to catch and burn, so you want it nice and crunchy. So while that's cooking, it's going to smell great. So the other quintessential ingredient in our Caesar is a really fantastic soft-boiled egg. When you drop your room temperature egg into the boiling water, you want the yolk in the centre. So when you break it open to put it on your plate with the Caesar, that the yolk's in the middle, because you don't want it to one side. It looks odd. It might break through the white. You know, you want a beautiful, beautiful glistening yolk just trickling out of that egg. So all you need to do to make sure that your yolk is perfectly in the centre is make a little whirlpool in the boiling water, and then when you drop it in, make sure the egg keeps spinning around. And what that does is it makes sure that the yolk is right in the centre. So when you break it open, you've got a beautiful soft... Because you don't want it on the side, it'll be messy, it won't be beautiful. You just keep that whirlpool going for about 15 or 20 seconds because the outside of the white does set really quickly. So you don't need to do that for long. Okay, so onto the dressing. It's really simple. So we're going to start with a nice fresh egg. Just pop it in to the blender. Then we've got 2 anchovies. I prefer the anchovies actually in the dressing, and it gives it that lovely salty taste. 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, which is a real nod to tradition. Traditional Caesar dressing always had Worcestershire sauce. And a teaspoon of lemon juice for sharpness and cut through. Now we just need to blend that together before we add our grapeseed oil. So to finish the dressing, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of grapeseed oil, and I'm using grapeseed oil because I want a real clarity in the dressing. If I used olive oil, it would be very dominant, so I think it works better. It's a little bit more neutral. So while the motor's running, I'm going to start by adding a few drops, and then as the oil incorporates with the egg and the egg emulsifies with the oil, I can be a little bit more steady stream, okay? Okay, fabulous. So we've made a beautiful Caesar dressing. We want a nice thick consistency in the dressing to coat the leaves. Okay, so we need to pop this in a bowl so I can actually just hand whisk the water in. You can see it's quite thick. Couldn't put that on the leaves, it would just sit on the top. I'll add a little bit of salt for seasoning and then a little bit of water. I could have added it in the blender, but it's easier to do it by hand to get the exact consistency you want. So you can always add more. It's really hard to take it out, so slowly does it. And what we're looking for is something that's going to coat the leaves, but not sit on top of them.
And Donna, are you using cold water for that, not hot water?
Yeah, cold water, so it doesn't split. So now is a good time to have, as Georgie says, taste, taste, taste. Yep, perfect. I just want to show you the consistency we're after. It's kind of that thick coating cream, like a buttermilk consistency. So the croutons and the bacon are done, so let me grab those. Okay, let's have a look at the bacon straight out of the oven. I know, we don't really need words, do we? And so our croutons are nice and golden, but they're nice and thin as well, because if you're going to serve big croutons, they need to be thin and crisp. Let's assemble our salad. So I'm going to use baby cos because I want it to have some structure and some crunch, okay? Gone are the days of the Caesar salad that's all chopped up and a big mess. So just cut it in half and pop it on the plate because I want to pour the dressing between these layers so all the leaves are coated. So it's all there for you. It's just a bit of a surprise. The next step is just to pop the egg on the plate. So we've got our boiled eggs here. I prefer to break it with my hand so it looks nice and organic. Start it with the knife. Yolks in the centre, as promised. So there you go. So you want that egg to be soft boiled because you want that lovely silky consistency to go with the crunch of the lettuce, crunch of the croutons. And then what I know you're all waiting for is this beautiful, crispy, sweet yet salty maple roasted bacon. All we have to do now is add the dressing just onto the lettuce. Just encourage it to pool between the leaves. So when you cut into that with your knife and fork, you're going to have enough dressing that's coating all the leaves as well as adding to the other elements of the salad. Now, Caesar salad, classic finish, bit of Parmesan cheese. That is my take on the classic Caesar salad. Are you excited? So my styling top tips for the Caesar salad are to remember to stir the egg when you put it in the boiling water, so you centre the yolk. Think about how you're going to chop things because it really does make a difference in the plating. And the next one is the consistency of the dressing, just to mask those leaves and to pool inside there. So how about the girls come up and have a little try? Look at all that crunch. Wow. See, because it's not already all chopped up, you've got that beautiful crunch of the cos.
I love bacon before with this.
With a bit of maple on it. It's pretty spectacular, isn't it? And how simple is that? One more ingredient to bacon. Loving it.
I think the best thing about the salad is it's really fresh. Not, you know, the cafe ones you often get are really soggy, and this is just beautiful. And that bacon is so yum.
Oh, that's great.
It's really good. Thank you.
Guys, it's been great having you in my headquarters today. I hope you've learnt a few tips that will get you through the rest of the competition. You are the final 7, so almost there. Hopefully you'll embrace your plating, heed my warning, leave time, but I hope you take away with you some great tips that are going to help you to get to the finals. So good luck. Thanks for coming in today. See you very soon.
Thanks a lot. You rock, Donna.
Next week on MasterChef Australia.
I guess it's a little bit of a kick in the guts.
The top 7 amateurs face a twist that will test them like never before.
This exercise is about shaking the tree.
I don't think anyone wanted to believe that it was going to happen.
And I say, bring it on.
Come on,